Hello everyone, it's me again, and I'm back with another video. This video will be what the X-Men were in The Incredibles. Let's find out, shall we? Now, which version of the X-Men would I see? The Fox X-Men, because I think that makes the most sense at the time. The first movie would not have changed. I doubt a single thing in X-Men 1 would have changed, other than there would be other heroes. Now, because of the setting the X-Men movies are in, The Incredibles would have to be set in, like, the early 2000s to, like, late 2010, mid to late 2010s, if I were to assume. I mean, there was this whole Life Syndrome, that, of course, being 15 years too late. So I'm going to say the 2000s to 2010s. If not, then the 2020s, but who knows? Now, I have heard some say the first X-Men movie takes place in the 90s, so maybe late 90s to early 2000s would be the time of superheroes if I were to make a guess. So X-Men 1 would not change, except there would be other heroes, and there would be references. X-Men 2 would not change. X-Men 3, I think, probably would have been the Bryan Singer version, because I feel like they would want the continuity between movies to stay intact. I think they would want some consistent continuity with these movies. I think they would want some consistency. What about the other films? X-Men First Class, that's still the same. Because it's a prequel. X-Men Origins Wolverine. I think the Wolverine would still happen, but it would happen at a later point in time. Like maybe when the ban happens. But we'll talk about the ban later. We get the X-Men at one point would fight Mr. Sinister. Don't know when, but they would at one point. Days of Future Past, I believe, would happen. X-Men Apocalypse would happen. Now, what would all the other heroes think of the X-Men? Honestly, I think they would be on good terms with the X-Men. Even though they're like their own team. But oh well. Now, what about the ban? It would still happen, of course. The ban still happens regardless. But I think Cyclops could have somewhat of a friendship with Gazerbeam because of their similar powers back then. And I think Mr. Incredible could be friends with someone like Colossus or Beast, if I were to assume. But that's just me. The ban happens. Cyclops marries Jean. Rogue, I think, would marry Gambit. If she doesn't choose Iceman, or Iceman dies at one point. I don't know. Kitty Pryde and Colossus would get married. Nightcrawler would marry Amanda Sefton. Now, what about Wolverine and Storm? I guess they could get married, but there's also the possibility that maybe Storm could marry someone like Black Panther. But because it's the X-Men and Black Panther is, his own hero, I think, with the Avengers, I think she would marry someone that's like Black Panther. It's not Black Panther himself, but someone like him. Wolverine, I think, would marry maybe Emma Frost or a non-mutant. I do think some of the heroes would hate the X-Men because of the fact that they're mutants. Any surviving members from the previous films would be in retirement. Syndrome's plan would go forward, but the Omnidroids would be more destructive and more powerful because I could picture him and Bolivar Trask teaming up. So essentially, some of the X-Men, if they were to accept, would be killed. But they would still try to stand a chance against the Sentinels. Even the other heroes would try to defeat the Omnidroids. Sorry if I call them Sentinels, my mistake. Now, they would go with someone... Now, I could imagine them going with Cyclops and Jean at first, but they would decline. They would then go with Nightcrawler, he declines. Gambit and Rogue decline. Kitty and Colossus decline. Wolverine and his love interest, Wolverine declines because Wolverine's already doing his own thing in Japan. Storm declines. Beast, I think he would decline too, if I were to guess. So, because of the numerous declines, I think they would go back on Mr. Incredible, and the rest of the movie would have played out as normal. Except Bolivar Trask would have been involved, and Bolivar Trask, I think, would be betrayed and killed by Syndrome at one point. But then again, the rest of the movie would go out as normal, up until the Omnidroid fight. Cyclops and Jean would have children by then, so they would have to help the Incredibles take down the Omnidroid. Same thing with Gambit and Rogue, Kitty and Colossus, Wolverine, Storm, and Beast would also join. Maybe even someone like even Nightcrawler would join. Maybe Jollibee could join as well, if you want to imagine. Maybe. Just maybe. They would all team up to take down this Omnidroid. And because there's more heroes, they would have a higher chance of taking down the Omnidroid a lot faster. Then the rest of the movie would go the same. And Incredibles 2 would also be theoretically the same, except any of the surviving X-Men would be a part of the lifting the ban thing storyline. I don't get it, because in the first movie, people praised the Incredibles and Frozone for saving them, yet the police are still after the Incredibles. Like, I don't really get it. I don't get it necessarily. I feel like they could have done something a little different in Incredibles 2, but then again, alas. I also think Winston Endeavor could have had a different plan when it came to the supers, but then again, it's just me. But that's all I have to say. So that's what the X-Men were in the Incredibles. I didn't mention Incredibles 3 because it's not out yet. I could do remakes of these videos when Incredibles 3 comes out. I could, but still. I'm going to hold that idea off until Incredibles 3 comes out. It might happen, but still. Anyways, bye.